Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. So, yeah, nothing was wanting to work. Let's see, who's first? Turtle King, welcome in. Congrats on getting first. Faded Knight, hello. Crusader, welcome in. Waste, welcome in. Guardian, hello. um, let's see. Is YouTube working? Let's take a look. Look-see. Hi, DT, welcome in. So, yeah, I'm having some tech difficulties today. The rest of the day was a really good day, but oh, yep, it's live, so at least it's there. Let's see. Okay. Oh, wow, 36 months. Holy cow. Thank you for the resub, Crusader. Let's see, I'm a little, there we go. Let's put me back up here. Yeah, today's been crazy. So my pool is working. I turned the filter on when I got home. All that good stuff going on. I'm putting the chemicals in, whatnot. I'm like, I'm gonna let it run for a while. It's starting to look less green and stuff. And tomorrow I'll probably put like the clarifier in and whatnot. And I'm letting it run. I'm like, I'll probably let it run most of the night, if not till the end of stream at least. It starts pouring. Thunder, lightning, pouring. I had to run out and unplug it because it's plugged in outside, and yes, it's grounded, but at the same time I don't want to blow up my my filter or pump. So I was like, yeah, let's hold off on that. So eventually. But yes, hello, I'm doing well, Faded Knight. How are you? And then so I had to run outside as I was preparing for stream to do that. And then OBS was like, no, you can't multi-stream. Multi-streaming is not for you today. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I had to do a whole bunch of shenanigans, and then OBS froze. And I was like, this is garbage. And then just now I said, wait, because my model wasn't working. They weren't connecting. Oh, it's completely covered? Nice. Yeah, no, mine is outside. It's an above ground pool. I can't wait. It's gonna be ready by this weekend, and I will be living in it. I will be living in that bad boy. Of course, now my thing says rain will stop soon. Good Lord. So, okay. So today I decided I wasn't sure what to read. So I found out that like I knew about the series, but I didn't realize it was that old. It's called The Best American series, and it came out by Beach Day. It's it has like best American short stories, science fiction, essays, things like that. And I was like, ooh, that'd be exciting to read essays from back then. No, the best American essays wasn't until 1986. And then the short stories, I kind of glanced through some of the old ones and was like, meh, they kind of don't seem as interesting as I thought. So I was trying to find something to read today. And I realized we never read The Book of Dragons by Edith Nesbit. Which reminds me, I really need to charge my Kindle. So we're going to be reading it from the computer. So that is what we'll be reading today. And you can find it for free on Project Gutenberg as usual. But I'm opening a few things, doing a few things. Drag this over here. Book of Dragons. We're gonna read now on the website. I should send it to, you know what, I'm gonna send it to my Kindle there too. Okay. Okay. You're glad you don't have to work tomorrow? Ugh. I wish. Things are actually really going well at work right for this week, so super excited about that. It's been a good week at work. I have a massive project I'm working on, and it keeps me busy. Did I freeze? There we go. Okay. The book, 103. Don't read chapter 6.9 is about you. Oh no. All right, let's see. Read now. Here we go. The Book of Dragons by Edith Nesbit. So remember, Edith Nesbit is the one who also did The Railway Children, Five Children, and It. We read a bunch of her books before. So if anyone, it is a shorter one, and each chapter is different. Each one is a different short story, I guess. I think that's how it seems. It'll be good, I think. So if you hear humming in the background, it's because I have my dehumidifier going. My library is at 73% humidity. Okay. Contents. So chapter 1, the Book of Beasts. Oh, and I'll try to pull the pictures and post those as we go too, because there are some pictures. Hello, Dragon TT over on YouTube as well. Oh no, don't feel sick. I hope you feel better. Feel free to chill and vibe. Okay. Here we go. If this is to Rosamund, chief among those for whom these tales are told, the Book of Dragons is dedicated in the confident hope that she, one of these days, will dedicate a book of her very own making to the one who now bids 8 dreadful dragons crouch in all humbleness at those little brown feet. And this is the Book of Beasts. This is what we're at right now. The Book of Beasts. Okay. Chapter 1, the Book of Beasts. He happened to be building a palace when the news came, and he left all the bricks kicking about the floor for Nurse to clear up. But then the news was rather remarkable news. You see, there was a knock at the front door and voices talking downstairs, and Lionel thought it was the man come to see about the gas, which had not been allowed to be lighted since the day when Lionel made a swing by tying his skipping rope to the gas bracket. And then, quite suddenly, Nurse came in and said, "Master Lionel, dear, they've come to fetch you to go and be king." Then she made haste to change his smock and to wash his face and hands and brush his hair, and all the time she was doing it, Lionel kept wriggling and fidgeting and saying, "Oh, don't, Nurse," and "I'm sure my ears are quite clean," or "Never mind my hair, it's all right," and "That'll do." "You're going on as if you was going to be an eel instead of a king," said Nurse. The minute Nurse let go for a moment, Lionel bolted off without waiting for his clean handkerchief, and in the drawing-room there were 2 very grave-looking gentlemen in red robes with fur, and gold coronets with velvet sticking up out of the middle like the cream in the very expensive jam tarts. They bowed low to Lionel, and the gravest one said, "Sire, your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, the king of this country, is dead, and now you have got to come and be king." "Yes, please, sir," said Lionel. "When does it begin?" "You will be crowned this afternoon," said the grave gentleman, who was not quite so grave-looking as the other. "Would you like me to bring Nurse, or what time would you like me to be fetched? And hadn't I better put on my velvet suit with the lace collar?" said Lionel, who had often been out to tea. "Your Nurse will be removed to the palace later. No, never mind about changing your suit. The royal rose will cover all that up." The grave gentleman led the way to a coach with 8 white horses, which was drawn up in front of the house where Lionel lived. It was number 7, on the left-hand side of the street as you go up. Lionel ran upstairs at the last minute, and he kissed Nurse and said, "Thank you for washing me. I wish I'd let you do the other ear. No, there's no time now. Give me the hanky. Goodbye, Nurse." "Goodbye, Ducky," said Nurse. Be a good little king now, and say please and thank you, and remember to pass the cake to the little girls, and don't have more than 2 helps of anything." So off went Lionel to be made a king. He had never expected to be a king any more than you have, so it was all quite new to him, so new that he had never even thought of it. And as the coach went through the town, he had to bite his tongue to be quite sure it was real, because if his tongue was real, it showed he wasn't dreaming. Half an hour before, he had been building with bricks in the nursery, and now the streets were all fluttering with flags. Every window was crowded with people waving handkerchiefs and scattering flowers. There were scarlet soldiers everywhere along the pavements, and all the bells of all the churches were ringing like mad, and like a great song to the music of their ringing, he heard thousands of people shouting, "Long live Lionel! Long live our little king!" He was a little sorry at first that he had not put on his best clothes, but he soon forgot to think about that. If he had been a girl, he would very likely have bothered about it the whole time. As they went along, the grave gentlemen, who were the Chancellor and the Prime Minister, explained the things which Lionel did not understand. "I thought we were a republic," said Lionel. "I'm sure that there hasn't been a king for some time." "Sire, your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather's death happened when my grandfather was a little boy," said the Prime Minister. "And since then your loyal people have been saving up to buy you a crown. So much a week, you know, according to people's means. 6 pence a week from those who have first-rate pocket money, down to a halfpenny a week from those who haven't so much. You know it's the rule that the crown must be paid for by the people." "But hadn't my great-great, however much it is, grandfather a crown?" "Yes, but he sent it to be tinned over, for fear of vanity, and he had had all the jewels taken out and sold them to buy books." That sounds like me. "He was a strange man, a very good king he was, but he had his faults. He was fond of books. Almost with his last breath he sent the crown to be tinned, and he never lived to pay the tinsmith's bill." Here the Prime Minister wiped away a tear, and just then the carriage stopped, and Lionel was taken out of the carriage to be crowned. Being crowned is much more tiring work than you would suppose, and by the time it was over, and Lionel had worn the royal robes for an hour or two, and had had his hand kissed by everybody whose business it was to do it, he was quite worn out, and was very glad to get into the palace nursery. Nurse was there, and tea was ready, seedy cake and plummy cake, and jam and hot buttered toast, and the prettiest china with red and gold and blue flowers on it, and real tea, and as many as cups of it as you'd like. After tea, Lionel said, "I think I should like a book. Will you get me one, Nurse?" "Bless the child," said Nurse. "You don't suppose you've lost the use of your legs with just being a king? Run along, do, and get your books yourself." So Lionel went down into the library. The Prime Minister and the Chancellor were there, and when Lionel came in, they bowed very low, and were beginning to ask Lionel most politely what on earth he was coming bothering for now, when Lionel cried out, "Oh, what a world full of books! Are they yours?" "They are yours, your Majesty," answered the Chancellor. "They were the property of the late king, your great-great—" "Yes, I know," Lionel interrupted. "Well, I shall read them all. I love to read. I'm so glad I learned to read." "If I might venture to advise your Majesty," said the Prime Minister, "I should not read these books. Your great—" "Yes," said Lionel quickly. "He was a very good king. Oh, yes, really, a very superior king in his way, but he was a little, well, strange." "Mad?" asked Lionel cheerfully. "No, no," both the gentlemen were sincerely shocked. "Not mad, but if I may express it so, he was, too clever by half, and I should not like a little king of mine to have anything to do with his books." Lionel looked puzzled. "The fact is," the Chancellor went on, twisting his red beard in an agitated way, "your great—" "Go on," said Lionel. "Was called a wizard." "But he wasn't?" "Of course not. A most worthy king was your great—" "I see. But I wouldn't touch his books." "Just this one," cried Lionel, laying his hands on the cover of a great brown book that lay on the study table. It had gold patterns on the brown leather, and gold clasps with turquoises and rubies in the twists of them, and gold corners, so that the leather should not wear out too quickly. "I must look at this one," Lionel said, for on the back in big letters he read, "The Book of Beasts." The Chancellor said, "Don't be a silly little king." But Lionel had got the gold clasps undone, and he opened the first page, and there was a beautiful butterfly, all red and brown and yellow and blue, so beautifully painted that it looked as if it were alive. "There," said Lionel, "isn't that lovely? Why?" But as he spoke, the beautiful butterfly fluttered its many-colored wings on the yellow old page of the book, and flew up and out of the window. "Well," said the Prime Minister, as soon as he could speak for the lump of wonder that had got into his throat and tried to choke him, "that's magic, that is." But before he had spoken, the king had turned the next page, and there was a shining bird, complete and beautiful in every blue feather of him. Under him was written, "Bluebird of Paradise," and while the king gazed enchanted at the charming picture of the bluebird, the bluebird fluttered his wings on the yellow page and spread them and flew out of the book. Then the Prime Minister snatched the book away from the king and shut it up on the blank page where the bird had been, and put it on a very high shelf. The Chancellor gave the king a good shaking and said, "You're a naughty, disobedient little king," and was very angry indeed. "I don't see that I've done any harm," said Lionel. He hated being shaken, as all boys do. He would much rather have been slapped. "No harm," said the Chancellor. "Ah, but what do you know about it? That's the question. How do you know what might have been on the next page? A snake or a worm or a centipede or a revolutionist or something like that?" "Well, I'm sorry if I vexed you," said Lionel. "Come, let's kiss and be friends." So he kissed the Prime Minister, and they settled down for a nice quiet game of noughts and crosses while the Chancellor went to add up his accounts. But when Lionel was in bed, he could not sleep for thinking of the book, and when the full moon was shining with all her might and light, he got up and crept down to the library and climbed up and got the Book of Beasts. This is totally acting like me in Matsu's study. I 100% would do this. He took it outside to the terrace where the moonlight was as bright as day, and he opened the book and saw the empty pages with butterfly and bluebird of paradise underneath, and then he turned the next page. There was some sort of red thing sitting under a palm tree, and under it was written, "Dragon." The dragon did not move, and the king shut up the book rather quickly and went back to bed. But the next day he wanted another look, so he took the book out in clasps with the rubies and